Hi everyone, it's Terry from Terry's Scrapbooks, and this is my introduction to my tutorial for making this album. I have a walkthrough video of this album so you can see what you'll be making. I suggest you watch the whole video through once to get a good idea of what will be happening in each step. And that way you won't be surprised and you know why we're doing something. This is also a design team project album for Country Craft Creations, and almost everything in this album you can buy at Country Craft Creations. I hope you have fun and enjoy creating this album. The first piece of pattern paper I want you to cut is actually on the inside back cover. It's going to be used there, but I want you to cut it first because it's a special cut. From your signature page, you'll need to cut down from the top 1 5/8 inches. That will cut off the very top of this crown and the top of this dragon's wing. It'll go a little below the border edge. Cut the top off and cut the bottom off. And the bottom is 1 5/8. So you have the top and the bottom cut off. And save these. And because I used the sides, I don't have them. You're going to cut in 1 1/2 inches from the left. 1 1/2 inches will take you to the edge of that last black line of the border, right before this pattern comes in. And then you're going to cut 6 inches from that edge to
For
here.
the cover, you'll need some heavy chipboard. I usually get mine from Paper Accents. For the way I do my covers, I double up the heavy chipboard. So you need to cut 4 9 1/4 by 7 1/4 pieces of chipboard and 2 9 1/4 by 2 3/4 pieces of chipboard. And first, and you'll need to have some Tyvek, which is one of these envelopes that you can get. You can either use a used one or a brand new one. You can get them at Staples. Cut a piece. That's 9 inches by 2 inches. And use some glue. I use glue. I like it because it gives you some play time. So you want to go right close to the edge. It's kind of important. You don't want it to pull. You want it to be right on the edge, as straight as it can be. I also like my brayer, but that makes it go down smooth and makes it grab in good. And then you want to check to see if you've had any overflow. But see, if you don't get it close, it will pull away when the book is opening and closing, and that's why you want it to get right up to that edge with the glue. And we'll just do the other one next the same way. So you want to put it down there just about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, I did 3/4 of an inch. Then you're going to take your spine. We'll go this way. Only you'll want a ruler this time. I like to do 3/8 of an inch away. The spine 3/8 of an inch away from the cover piece. Gives it plenty of room, because by the time you're loading up with paper, still you get room enough to bend. Check the bottom, 3/8. You can pull it off. That's why I like the glue, because you can have time to play with it. If it's not perfect, you can mess around with it. Good. Now you just want to do this side the same way. Three-eighths away. Check the bottom. The brayer also smooths the glue out. Gets it in those nooks and crannies really well. And I do want to put some glue under here. Just to make sure that doesn't cause trouble later. That's what it will look like. And see, this can go all the way. No worries about breaking. Then I just put the others on the top. Make it match up so it looks pretty. And here's the last one. So there, it's the cover. It doesn't take too long to dry. You could actually go on to the next step.
In the interest of saving time, I used an old clip from my first album tutorial to show you how to put together the chipboard cover. It's exactly the same, except the measurement of the spine was different. This is a 3-inch spine you need for this album. Okay, I'm going to show you how to wrap the cover of the album. We're using this paper on the cover. I need 2 pieces of this pattern and some score tape. And I'm going to run score tape, 1/4-inch score tape, all the way along the edge of one piece of paper. And stick these 2 together. Like that. Then we're going to put this right here. We want it to be centered. So you want 2 3/4 here to here and here to here. And just eyeball it to get it straight. If you don't trust your eyes, you can measure. 1 3/4 down from the top. And I will just, I'm going to glue the spine down first, so I'll just hold it like this and put glue on here. Getting close to the edge of the chipboard. That way your paper won't pull away from the edge. It looks nicer when you're opening and closing it from the back side. It holds. The brayer to smooth it down. Spread that glue around. Flip it over. Then if you want to check, see if anything moved while you were moving everything. Make sure it stayed straight. Looks good. And now we're going to glue this part down. Put glue here. You don't have to be, you have to be close to the edge here at the spine, but you don't have to be so close in the other parts. And the same with the other side. And I actually forgot a step, but we'll correct that now. While the glue's still wet, I usually find the end of the spine and stretch the paper before I glue it down. But I forgot that, but it's usually all right. Take a pen that fits in that dent and just stretch the paper into the dent. And also a bone folder. And find the other one on the other side. Just like you were scoring down this wide spot. So that you have two dents in the paper that go into that area. Now we're going to feel for where the spine is separate from the cover. I'm going to push into it, make a dent into it. Take your bone folder, push it into the spine, into that dent, so that you're starting to make a dip in the dent. And then I have a pen that fits perfect, so I'll do that. And go like that. And when you have a nice dent in there, can you see it? You can push this up and put your glue in here. Get close to the edge. And then pushing it so that the paper stays in that dent, and push it down here. I have to do the same with the other side. Okay, when you have 2 dents in there, and it's all glued down. Let's finish by pulling it over the top. Now you want to flip it back over this way. Take a pair of scissors, and you want to, leaving about 3/8 inch away, cut an angle. Just like that. On all 4 corners. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. Now we're going to do the top. Take glue and run it right along the edge of the chipboard. Stop at that spot. And go on all the way to the end, over a little into that 1/8 inch area. Get the paper starting to bend, just fold it up like that. And take your bone folder, press against the chipboard, press the paper up against the chipboard. Now put some glue here. And pull this down over the top. Now you're going to want to stretch this spot here again. And you're going to want to, okay, I'm going to push down in like this so that I make a angle fold right there, and then there will be a little notch sticking up here, so we'll push against the edge of the chipboard and then fold that notch down, and do the other side the same way. Fold in to get an angle, and fold the notch down so it's a nice corner there. And we'll do the bottom half exactly the same way. Do your corners. Good. Now we're just going to run glue along the edge here. And here. Fold this up. And put a little glue here. Nice and tight. Other side the same way. And there you have it. Get this open. Press it in like this. And then I'll fold it like this. So it goes like that. It just loosens it up. And here's the cover. Beautifully wrapped. I like to think it looks like a professional book. Okay, now we'll go on to making the hinges. Okay, to make the hinges, you need a piece of black cardstock cut at 8 3/4 by 9, and also a piece of Tyvek cut a 1/4 inch smaller, so 8 3/4 by 8 1/2. And I use Krylon's spray glue on the Tyvek, and I put it on and smooth it out. I get a lot of questions of where to buy the Tyvek. You can buy it at office supply stores or order it online. It's made by DuPont, so it's in most countries. The other question I get a lot of is there an alternative to using Tyvek? There really isn't. You can use fabric. A silk fabric would be thin, and if you cut it on the bias and put it on, it would probably be stronger than the regular paper. But the Tyvek is made of plastic, and it won't deteriorate as quickly as a natural fiber would do. Okay, so you'll need your scoreboard, and you want the 9-inch side to be vertical, the vertical edge to be your 9-inch side. We're going to go to 2 1/4 inches and make the first score line. Then we're going to do a 1/2 inch from there, so 2 3/4. And another 1/2 inch, so 3 1/4. And our first gusset will be 5/8 inches, so we'll count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that is 3 7/8. Then we'll do a 1/2 inch, and that's 4 3/8. You make your score. And 4 7/8. Then we want a 3/4 inch gusset, 5 5/8. And a 1/2 inch is 6 1/8, 6 5/8, and that's all you need to do. Okay, we're going to turn it so the score lines are horizontal, and use your score tape again, and put the first line of score tape at the top of the first score line, just above it, running right along the edge of it. Take off the score tape. Fold at the score line, the second score line, and push it down so that the score tape catches. And fold back over the first score line, and you have your first hinge. Go to the next score line above, do the same thing, run the score tape right along the top of the score line. And fold at the score line above that. You have your second hinge. And we'll do it again. One more time. There we have our hinges. 3 hinges for 3 pages. Okay, now we're going to decorate the cover. You want 4 lengths, 12-inch lengths of the ivory heart lace. Put them aside for now. And 2 pieces of the borders left from when you did your special cutting. Don't worry about the wing showing here because the lace is going to cover that when we put it on. See, you can't see it. And from the edge, we'll put it over 4 3/4 inches from this edge. And you want it, fairly centered from top to bottom. And I'm just going to hold it, check for my 4 3/4. It's a little over this way. I'm going to hold it with my hand, peel it up like this. You don't need a lot, you just want to make it stick. Use your pattern as a guide. And do the same with the other side. And turn it over. And we'll fold these over the top like we did with the cover. And we'll go back, put on the laces, make sure your shiny side is up, and you want to run it right along the edge of the cover piece where the cover piece goes to that dent. You want the edge of your lace right on there. Get some overhang at the top and the bottom. And if you want to put some under these points, do the other side, and we will flip this over and glue these down over the top. Then we'll go back and we want to put these 2 lengths, shiny side up, so that they intertwine down the middle like this. A little over there. Good enough. And we're just going to curve it over the end. You might want to look and see which side you like better for the front, if there happens to be any kind of preference. And I don't see anything. So I'm going to do it just like this. And I have my 3/4 inch gusset on the right side. And we'll put this over here to as a guide, even on the top and the bottom, as we're going to put a lot of glue right on this spine area. And we're going to put it down 1/4 inch from this top part, so that when we're pushing around, the glue won't seep out too much. But you can put kind of a lot of glue and go right to the edge. If you have any spots like that, put glue under there. You want the hinges to be held down tight. Quarter inch up from the bottom. Really a lot. Then I take a old credit card or something that we'll call a smoother outer, and I'll work the glue around so that it covers everything. Pull in from the side, and you see there's still a lot of glue there, even though you're moving it around. Okay, I'm going to add some glue up here. Little spots that look a little thin. Alright, now you need your ruler, and you want to have this first hinge to be in 5/8 from the edge of the spine. So you center it from the top and the bottom, then you find your spine and you have to move this hinge over 5/8. That's good. And it's a little twisted this way. So good. So that is where you want to make sure your hinge stays, because you want it to be 1 inch on this side from the hinge to the edge of the spine. So there. You can use your bone folder to get it down tight. And you'll feel it start to grab, be in there tight. So now I'm going to do a little work on this gusset here, where the hinges, stretch it out. It will feel different because of the Tyvek. But we'll make a dent in there again, and the other side as well. Then I'm going to put glue under this flap. You can mark the edge. It helps guide where you put your glue. 1/4 inch down and right along the edge. You don't need quite as much glue there. I'll go get my handy helpers, clothespins, to help hold down things like up here where the lace is keeping it up till it dries. This will help. Hold that down nice and tight. But it looks good. And I'll come back in a few minutes. Our hinges are glued on now, nice and tight. Looks good. Closes up nice. Okay, we're ready to start doing. Okay, let's get ready to do the inside front cover. You'll need, from your pieces of cardstock that you cut out, a 5.5 by 7.5 inch piece that is scored 3/8 inches on both 7.5 inch sides and punched along the top after you cut it. Cut it the 5.5 by 7.5 and then punch the top and score the sides. You'll need a 5.5 by 9 inch piece that is scored 4 3/4, 4 3/4, and 4 7/8, so that it makes this kind of a fold. You'll need a 4.5 by 8 inch piece, a 5.5 by 7.5 inch piece, and the 9 by 7 inch base piece. You'll also need, you saw the picture that I needed you to cut these pieces, and when you get to your patterned cardstock you can cut this out. You'll need these. We won't use them right now. We'll put them together when we get to the patterned papers, but you'll want to have these cut out. This will go like this, and we'll put it on top of here with pieces of this in between to lift it up a little bit. But really we'll use that later. So here's your base 9 by 7 inch piece, and you'll need your 5.5 by 9 inch piece that has been scored at 4 3/4 and 4 7/8, but I'm going to turn it this way so that the score lines are on the left side of the 9 by 7 inch piece. And we're going to glue this on. Now I had to change glues to this Sobo Premium Craft and Fabric glue. It's acid-free. The other acid-free glue I was using, they changed it. Acid-free tacky glue, it's different. Either I had the wrong glue before or what, but I was not happy with this glue. It's not white anymore and it's stickier and I didn't like it. So I changed to Delta Created Sobo glue. So up to the first score line, before that 1/8 of an inch to the second score line, you've got to put your glue. Not happy with how heavy that is. And put on your cardstock up to the first score line. So that now it will fold like this. with that 1/8 of an inch sticking up like that. And now on this side, we're going to put this pocket. I'm going to fold in the 2 score lines on the side and put it on like this. So a little glue at the bottom and glue on these 2 wings here. Put it on the flap. And make sure it doesn't go over the score line so it gets in the way of this hinge area. So here's your pocket. And it folds like this. This will be the tag for inside the pocket. And this we will put here. And this we will put here. But that's done for now. You can put it aside and we'll go on to page 1. Okay, for page 1, you'll need these again that I showed you in that picture. Make sure you have these cut out. But we won't put them together till we get to the pattern papers. You'll need 2 sets of these. 1 set, 2 sets. Put those aside. Have a 9 by 7 inch piece. Have a 6.5 by 9 inch piece, scored at 6 inches, and then again at 6 1/4 inches, so that you have a 1/4 inch hinge there, gusset for a hinge. You'll need 2 4.5 by 4 inch pieces, 1 3.5 by 10, that is scored a 1/2 inch on both 3.5 inch sides, and then you'll punch that out along the edge, along this edge. So this will fold like this, and you'll need 2 4.5 by 6.5 inch pieces. So we'll start with the 9 by 7 inch base piece. Take the 6.5 by 9 inch piece that has been scored and folded. I'm going to put it on the right side, and we're going to put glue along that 1/4 inch piece that's left over. But not on the 1/4 inch gusset. Put this on till it goes right up to the first score line. So that it folds like this. Then we'll put on this pocket, which is the 3.5 by 10 inch piece, scored a 1/2 inch on both 3.5 inch sides. We're going to put it on like this. So we'll run a line of glue down here, along this edge, and on these sides. put it on. So it goes all the way to the right hand edge of this piece. There we have a long pocket. That's where we'll put these two photo mats, which are the 4.5 by 6.5 inch pieces. And we'll be putting these 4.5 by 4.5 inch pieces. And these will go like this. But we'll come back when we put the pattern paper on to finish these up. So now we'll go on to page 2. For page 2, you need your 9 by 7 inch piece, a 5.5 by 6.5 inch piece that has been scored 3/4 and 1 inch, so that there's a 1/4 inch gusset there on one side. Then you'll need the 5.5 by 6.5 inch piece that has been scored 3/4 and 1 inch, so that there's 1/8 of an inch gusset on this one. And then this 3 by 5.5 inch piece that is scored 1/2 inch in on both 3-inch sides and punched. We're going to take the piece that has the 1/4 inch gusset, the larger gusset, and we're going to put this pocket on the inside of this one. So this will be the top, and it'll open like this with the pocket on the inside. But if you mess it up that way, meaning you get the pocket on the wrong side or something, it's not really a big deal. You'll just have a pocket in a different place. Right up to the score line. And so there's that pocket. And that's all we're going to do with this for now. We'll do the rest when we get the pattern paper going. So put page 2 aside, and we'll go on to page 3. Okay, for page 3, you need a 4.5 by 6.5 inch piece, a 5.5 by 4.25 inch piece that has been scored 3/8 inch on both 4.25 inch sides and punched. 8.5 by 5.75 inch piece, scored 1/2 inch on both 8.5 inch sides and punched. An 8 by 4.5 inch piece, a 5.5 by 9 inch piece, scored at 4 3/4 and 5 inch. A 3 by 7 inch piece that is scored 1/2 inch on both 3-inch sides and punched. 4.5 by 6.5 inch piece. A 7.5 by 6 inch piece that has been scored at 5.5 and 5 5/8. And your 9 by 7 inch base piece. Take the 7.5 by 6 inch piece that has been scored at 5.5 and 5 5/8, so that it has this 1/8 inch gusset here. Turn it so the gusset is on the left hand side. We're going to put a pocket inside this. We're going to use this 3 by 7 inch piece with the scores of 1/2 inch on both 3-inch sides. I'm going to put it on like this. This will be a pocket like this. This will go on here, but we're going to put it on when we get the pattern papers all set and ready to go. Some special instructions for that, but it will open like this. It'll just look like it's floating there with the hinge under the pattern paper. Now you want your 5.5 by 9 inch piece that has been scored in 4 3/4 and 5 inches, so that you have a 1/4 inch gusset. We're going to put this pocket, which is the 8.5 by 5 3/4 inches, scored a 1/2 inch on both sides and punched at the top. We're going to put this on top of here like this. So one big pocket, and you have a smaller pocket, 5.5 by 4.5, with the 3/8 inch scored on both 4.5 inch side and punched at the top. We're going to put that over the top of that pocket at the bottom, like that. So now the big photo mat will slide in there, and the smaller one will slide in here. And we're going to put this onto this 9 by 7 inch page. We're going to put glue right up to the first score line. So there's a 1/4 inch space, 1/4 inch gusset to keep things from getting too bulky or too bowed, because we're going to have all this going on inside. So this will have the 2 pockets open up with a big space here, and this will open up like this with a pocket inside there. And I'll show you how to do that, rest of that later. So put that aside. Page 4 is the lace pocket with the wallet inside. So you need your 9 by 7 inch piece. That we will build a lace pocket on top of after we get the patterned paper on. And then you'll need the 8 by 12 piece that has been scored on the 8 inch side, 3 3/4 inches, and again at 4 1/8 inches, and then 8 7/8 inches, and 9 1/4 inches. It will have a 3/8 inch gusset. So it will fold like this. You can see like that. That will be the wallet cover. Then you'll need a 7.5 by 10 inch piece that has been scored at 4 3/4 and 9 1/4, so that it will fold up like this and make an envelope kind of thing. And a 7.5 by 4.5 inch piece. Then you'll need a 6.5 by 10 inch piece that has been scored at 4 3/4 and 9 1/2. And a 6.5 by 4.5 inch piece. You'll need a 5.5 by 10 inch piece that has been scored at 4 3/4 and 9 1/2. And a 5.5 by 7 inch piece. And you'll need 3 4.5 by 1 inch pieces that have been scored down the middle, 3/4 inch in, so it's down the middle the long way. So they look like this. This I actually took from Marie's Scrapbooking. I think that's the name. I will put the correct name up on the screen if I got that wrong. I did a challenge last summer and made one of these, and so I've added it into this album. Now I'm going to round this corner. I want a bigger round, a big round corner, not the small one. This is the top flap. This will go up like this. This will go over the top. So round, if you wish, the 2 corners at the top. And we'll put together these envelopes. So you want to fold them up like this, so that this goes like this. Take one end and cut an angle on this flap, because then when you're sliding it in, it won't get in the way as much. It'll be easier. You could do that, or you could fold this over the top, but then you'll see that line where it's folded over, so I prefer to do it with this on the inside, and then it looks did it wrong. Quick save. I opened it up again. You still want the angle, and we still want to put glue where we did. We just also want to put it at the bottom, so we close it up so it's not open at the bottom. Like this, so that now we'll have a one-sided envelope. Like that. So now your piece won't come all the way through. Like that. Okay. Do the others the same. This is the 5.5 by 10 inch piece. I'm just cutting off that at an angle. I'm going to put glue, doesn't matter if you go here or there, and close it up. So another envelope, and the same with this one. Close it up. So you have 3 sizes. This is the 7.5. That's right, right? 7.5, 6.5, 5.5, like that. We're going to go back here, and we want to do it like this. So you have to take the 7.5 inch envelope, put glue on one side of the 4.5 by 1.5 inch piece up to the fold line. We want this to be the hinge, so this is going to open like this. So we want to put this on the back, in the middle. I left some, so there'll be 1/8 of an inch on each side. See? 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. And that part will go on here. So we can put glue on this other half of the hinge. So that the end of the envelope butts up to the end of the wallet. the side and don't get it on the two score lines. And the open side is over here. So now it's a hinge. See? We're going to do the same with the 6.5 inch side. We're going to put glue on one side. And we're going to put glue on the other side and put it right up to the end, right on top of the 7-inch piece, 7.5-inch piece. So now we have 1, 2, and again with this last hinge and the last piece, and on top of the 6.5-inch piece. So now you have all that with its pieces that go inside, which we will put patterned paper on later. So here's your 9.5-inch piece, and this, put those aside, and we'll go on to the next page. For page 5, you're going to need the 7 1/8 inch pieces. I have them all here, but I've already stacked up 3 one side, 4 here. That's what we're going to do with them, stack them up. You'll also need the 4.5 by 7.5 inch piece, a 5 by 7 inch piece, and the 9 by 7 inch piece. So first we'll stack these up, which just is, we're going to put glue on them. Like that, and put another one on top. Line up the edges and then do this to make them. So that's 2. Do it again. 3. And one more. Then, so this is already 4 stacked up. Then we'll take the 5 by 7 inch piece, and we're going to put these stacks, 1 on each side. So put glue, put it right up to the edge. And the next. So that is going to make it so that this will keep this photo mat moving in and out more easily, so that when you get patterned paper on both sides and pictures on both sides, there's still room to get it in there. That's why I do that. But we're done with this until we get the patterned paper. So you can put this aside for now. Page 6 is the 9 by 7 inch piece and 2 4.5 by 4.5 inch pieces. Nothing else to do with that. Put that aside till later. Okay, this is the inside back cover. and you will need 4.5 by 9 inch piece that is scored 3/8 inch, 3/8 of an inch in, and 3 5/8 inch in, so you have a 1/2 inch gusset. You'll need 6.5 by 5 inch pieces, all that have been scored a 1/2 inch on one 6.5 inch side. These will be for the waterfall. There's your 9 by 7 inch piece. And here is a 7 by 9 inch piece that's been scored 6 1/4 and 6 3/4 on the 9 inch sides. This is a 7 1/4 by 6.5 inch piece that has been scored on both sides a 1/2 inch in and punched at the top. And this is a 5 by 7 inch piece. So take the 7 by 9 inch piece that's been scored at 6 1/4 and 6 3/4. We're going to put this pocket on like this. All the way up to the first score line. Which will hold the 5 by 7 inch photo mat. And we're going to glue that, this 1/4 inch, we'll put glue on that and leave the 1/2 inch alone. So there, this will fold over like this, that 1/2 inch part. This one will go on the other side. Same thing, up to the first score line. And these will go inside here after we get the pattern paper on. This will fold like this and like this. Okay, now we're ready to go on to the pattern papers. Patterned paper. I've already gone ahead and glued some on, and I've left special things to show how to do in this tutorial. When I'm doing the pattern paper, I always cut it a 1/4 inch smaller than the space I want to cover. So if I have a 5 1/2 by 9 inch space, I'll cut this 5 1/4 by 8 3/4. So there's an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. I've used almost all of the 12 by 12 paper pad. There's scraps and pieces that I couldn't fit on. And you start with the large pieces of paper first. Cover your 9 by 7 inch spaces first and work your way down, and that way you can utilize your paper the best. I will show you how I've put things on, what colors, what patterns I've put where, and then you can glue those on. This is the inside front cover, and I've used this pattern paper on this 5 1/2 by 7 1/2 inch piece, the shields. This here, this is the leftover from when you cut the signature sheet up. I just cut out this part and glued it on the side here. You won't see from this part down, so you don't really have to go all the way down with your paper. I like to give it a good distance, like, more than an inch when I'm covering my books. then we'll just put this one on. And I'm going to stick this down here at the bottom, this little enchanted piece that I've cut from the papers. This was cut from the 8x8 papers, you can tell because the pattern is smaller than this pattern. So it's a much smaller piece. And I want you to be able to slide something behind it, so I'm only going to put glue on this side and this side. So now you can stick something behind there. Cover this with this. That slides in there like that. We're going to put this, just a solid photo mat, right centered here. And I'm just going to put this on that spot. And this here. And we're going to put this piece together. I've glued the red piece behind this frame cut out so it shows through. And I've cut a piece of paper 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. That will be the insert we'll put in. Here's the back. And I'm going to take this piece and I want it to open at this corner. So I'm going to just cut like this. Just about a 1/4 inch like that. Maybe less than a 1/4 inch, but enough so you can work with it. Just like that, and I'm going to glue it here, matching it up with the previous. That is just to give it so it's not too tight, so that when you slide your picture in, there's a little space. My cat's decided to play with her toy this morning. Can you hear the jingling? See, then you have plenty of room for the edge of the picture to hide behind there. And then to apply it here, you're just going to put glue on this piece that you just glued on. Like that. Then we can slide this piece in. And we can access it easily. And then after the real picture goes in, you just glue down that corner. So we're going to want this to go on here, like this. And I also want this to be a tag, a journaling tag that you can pull out. So I want to make sure there's room for the tag, but also room to glue on the frame. So I'm going to leave some space there and I've got space down here. And then I'm going to pick this up, and you know you don't want to put your glue all the way over because you want it to stick out a little bit on this side. So put it kind of close to the tag there. And don't put it on too heavy because as soon as you press down on it, it's going to spread and it will catch your tag in there. So an overhang of about 1/4 inch. And you can take this out just to make sure it doesn't get glued in there. Stick this back in. Whoops. And I want to put a pull up here. So I've picked this chipboard that says life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale. And I want it to go kind of like that, and this is one of the petaloo flowers. I'm going to put it like this so you can still read the tag. So actually, to keep the bulk down, I'm going to make sure the center of this flower is off the tag. So I'm just going to put some glue here. It's okay if it goes under there a little bit. And I'm going to put this here, making sure the petals cover that part. That's pretty. Then we have a key. Very cool key with hearts from Country Craft Creations. I'm going to glue it like this. So I only need glue under there and there. And I'm going to use, well, you can use glossy accents, but I'm using 3D crystal lacquer. They both work fine. This is just what I had on my desk. So I want to make sure I get the glue here and here. Here, so that it will catch. And let's put these flowers on like that. And I like to put her here, and I want her to have a bit of seam binding. You know what I forgot? I forgot to put the seam binding under here. So try to get it under there while the glue's still wet. So when you do it, put it on before you put this on. So see, I can get under there. And I want my fine tip glue. What I've done is I cut an 18-inch piece of, 2 pieces of black and white seam binding. And they don't actually match up perfectly, but I think that's okay. That'll make the ends different lengths. And I'm going to put these inside the slot. So actually it's between this and the black cardstock that I'm getting this in. One end. Two ends. my really thin spatula from my painting days. I used to do some oil painting years ago. Now I'm going to keep this here so I can match up the other two pieces that I've already tied the ends on. I'm going to put these on the other side of the back. And I'm going to use where these come out as a guide. I'll put the white on top since I've got the white on the bottom there. And the black just underneath it. So that's good. Now we can put the key back on. Like that. So I have two lengths of both colors, about 6 inches long. And I folded it in half, and I'm taking the center of the halves and making a kind of a narrow piece to slip through the hole. Both halves together like that. And pull it through the loop like this. And the very cool thing about seam binding is you can pull it really tight on there. It's not bulky. And you can cut your ends smaller. So I like that to go something like that. I'll put some glue now we have our flowers. And there we have that to dry. Okay, that looks good. Okay, we'll do page 1 now. This is me playing with what it will look like. So I've covered it like this, and this, and this. And we'll start on the inside. Actually, we'll start with these two 4.5 by 4.5 by 6.5 inch pieces. Cut out these papers for the front and back. We can glue on the back. And I'm going to put these chipboard pieces on. Prince for the shield and Princess for the floral. So you want to cut a piece 1 inch wide by 1.5 inch long, scored down the middle so that it will fit behind here. And we'll just glue that right on like that so that the fold is at the top. like this. Make sure we have the right page, and then we're going to put this like that. Actually, we'll put it up here. Off to the left because of the way it will go into the pocket. See, just something like that. You can lift it up a little if you want. So the fold is right along the top. Then you want to put a little glue, not a lot, just very little, just to hold the top edge of this down so that it doesn't pop up. There, it's grabbing now. And then I'll just slip this up underneath. And that looks good like that. And now I'll do the other side. And there we have that. Ready to go in here like this. 1, 2. Prince and princess. And on this side, if you've seen my other videos, tutorials, you know how this goes. We're going to glue this right down onto here. And we want to be able to get this tag, one of the ephemera pieces, to go down here. So I'm going to pick this up, and we know we don't want to glue there so that the picture here can get behind. So I'll start my glue down here. And I'll even go like this so that the tag doesn't go too far down. Didn't I have a little thing for this? Well, we can put one of the chipboard pieces on there so that it's easier to grab up the corner. And now these, you know how to put them together. Same way we did on the other page. This comes out. This is 2 1/4 by 4 1/4, and the way I measure it when I'm going to cut it is I just stick the ruler in so it goes over. If I know that about 2 1/4 the picture will be covered, and 4 1/4, plenty in there, and so here it is. And for ease of access, we'll make it so they open this way. And these are kind of tight on here. I could keep them separate by going like that, but I'm going to put them a little together. So I'm going to overlap them like that, and it shouldn't hurt anything. If you want to get into here, still can do it. And if you want to get into here, no problem. So we'll put on the bottom one first. Make sure it's straight. And I want this tag to go there. So we decide to overlap, and we want this to go here. So I'll put glue You can put glue onto that part too, so, well, we'll do this again just so we know. Good. And I'm going to stick this on here. And you can always put a flower there too. And I'm going to put flowers. I'm going to glue it right on here, and you can get it onto here, but right between them so that it covers up that overlap bit. I think this time I'll just do one black and one cream. Use my tweezers to get it. Yeah, that's cute. I'll cut these and I'll glue them on. Okay, for page 2, this is what I've chosen. Don't glue this on, this piece. This, not glued on. This, glued on. And then this is from the front cover, the 3D piece we did. I just saved this frame that I cut out, and we'll use that. Then there's this piece and this piece from those. But first we just want this patterned paper and these, and we're going to, this is the 1/4 inch side on the right and the 1/8 inch gusset on the left. 1/8 inch gusset will go underneath the 1/4 inch gusset, and we're going to angle them like this. Just trying to make it look even. Eyeball it, you know, so that they're sticking up about the same here. And then when you put it on the paper, you want it to be about the same there and there and there. So it looks straight to you. You can measure if you want. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Now, here comes the tricky. It's not difficult. I want you to take your pencil. You want a pencil because you want it to erase. And it won't be easy to see on this paper either. But I want you to go along the spine with a line, because we're going to cut through this. And then the other side also. And you see, I don't know if you can see, a line there, a line there. And I just take my cutting plate from my die cutting machine, and I take an X-Acto knife and I find the top. Now you can go just a little over your line, a little above the top of this. It will make it easier to get in, and a little below the top of this, just a smidge, like a 1/16 of an inch. And you want to run your X-Acto knife right down the line, pressing enough to cut through the paper. See where it ends, so that now you've cut through the paper. And then take your eraser and erase off any telltale pencil line. And we'll do the other side. Right down. The line. That's hard to see. Okay, now we're going to try it out so that we can see for sure that it fits. And it doesn't quite. So that means I'll have to go more. Which way do I want to go? Well, this comes below this circle, so I'll go down this way more, which, see, it ends there, so I need to go down a good 1/4 of an inch. Try to go straight, like that. And then it fits in. See? We'll try out the other side. Hopefully it will look nice. And I didn't cut it long enough again. Oh, looks like it's longer than it is. So actually I need to go a little, I've already cut it but didn't go all the way through the paper. And this one comes to the top of that circle, so I'll have to go up to the top of the circle. And that one's tighter, but let's see how it looks. So we're through. And this still looks good. I like it. So now what we're going to do is put glue on here. Glue it down so the fold is right up to the cut line. And it opens and closes easily. And do the other side also. Like that. And I want you to take some score tape, because this will just make it so this part stays down and it won't show. You'll like it better. So go along. If you've overlapped, you go right over that all the way up that edge with the tape, just like that. And don't take it off till you glue it down. So this is the part that is on the outside edge. Like that. So you can already see it doesn't show. So now we'll need some magnets. We'll use 4 magnets. We'll start with 2. And we'll put them here. Get your glossy accents or a similar glue. This is 3D crystal. It just adheres non-porous items to paper really well. So we want one like that. Push it down a little so because you have your 1/8 inch piece that's going to show. So they stick because when you slide this down you have that 1/8 inch. So you kind of want them tucked under the paper. And we'll actually put this on now. Like that. And we're going to take a piece of scrap paper. Take your piece of scrap paper and let the magnets find each other. One magnet finding the other magnet. And there. Then use your glossy accents or any glue, similar glue that will hold non-porous items to paper. And actually I want this paper to stick out some. Stick out over the edge. You'll be happy about it. And then just close it over. I'm going to put this little doorknob on here. This piece of paper is 2 1/4 by 1 inch. You could probably get away with it a lot smaller, but 2 inches by 1 inch. Scored down the middle. So put glue on the back side. Right over the top of your magnets. Have it stick out 1/8 of an inch. And we'll put our patterned paper on. Like that. We could probably, if you hold down this piece of paper and pull up, the magnet will stay. See? And that way you can access that. Press down. And then let's put pattern paper on this. And this is where we're going to put this little frame. So we'll use the same idea as we did. So you just make sure, I don't want it to show, I want it to be surprised when you open it up. So right at the top of those circles. I'm going to put glue here and here. straight. Okay. Now the idea is to have this so you can pull it open. So I want the pressure to be right here. I'm going to put some glue inside here. Now I want to put the bail, which is this loose part, so that it will pull from right over that 1/8 inch line. So the bail goes right there. If you try to have it down here, it'll just flip this paper up. So we want it to be here, like that. I'm going to center a little more. And probably want to cut this off so the black doesn't show. So I'll take that off and just cut across like that. And I want a piece of wax paper to avoid getting glue. I'm just going to slide it up into that little piece, and I'm going to take my glossy accent substitute and I'm going to put glue like that. And put this on, glue this on to that piece. And if all goes well, maybe I should have put wax paper under here. So we want to make sure that really grabs, so we're going to leave that a bit before we try pulling on it. Okay, I went off, took a shower, came back, and look at that. How awesome is that? Perfect. Now we can glue all this whole thing onto the 9x7 cardstock. Oh, first take off your tape backing. And we want glue. A little glue on the tape will keep it slippery in case you have to do a lot of fussing with positioning. Like I usually do. And then push along your tape to get it stuck down good. This one first. I'm going to put glue here and make it so the center of the flower is above, doesn't get in the way of the door there. And then we'll do this, put it right on the edge here. And then this one right on the edge here. And we'll let that dry. And here we have it. Stick one of your ephemera pieces inside the pocket. And you have a place for picture there. And a place for picture here. You can measure this the same way and stick in your 3.5 by 5.25 would work beautifully for that spot. And we're done with this page. Put it away for now. Now page 3, I've done like this. This is the 8x8 paper I used here. And actually, I should have used the other side of this because it matches too well. I think it's red on the other side, and I wish I had done that. So you might want to do it in red, the red side up. But I glued on this chipboard, these flowers, this, covered like this with 8x8 paper. Covered this way, and I put glue on these sides of this ephemera piece, and I just stuck this ephemera piece in there. And this page was done exactly like page 2, where we drew a line along the side, cut a slit with the X-Acto knife, inserted it in, put glue, and then the tape. And I will now glue that onto that base page. And I covered the inside like this. Oh, this is from the 8x8 collection. Cut that out. 8x8 paper on there. Piece of ephemera. And then a big space for a picture. And I want to put this lace on here. And I'm just going to run glue here, up this 1/8 inch part, and here. Stay right on the 1/8 of an inch part. And I'm going to cut this extra lace right off. Like this. And I thought I'd cut this from the collection like that. Alright. Now, I'm going to do something fancy with this long photo mat. I'm going to take this metal piece and I'm going to put it on like this so it's even, and it's down below this edge of the paper, about 1/4 inch, the center of the piece. And I'm going to, you see how there's a hole here and a hole here diagonally, one there, one there. I'm going to draw a dot on this in those places. I'm going to take my 1/8 inch hole punch and line it up on the dot, and then the other dot. And they match up. And I've got 2 lengths of one ivory and one black seam binding, 9 inches long. And what I'm going to do is scrunch up the these two together like this to make a point so that I can get it through the holes. Start with your metal piece first. Pull it through a little ways. Go through the photo mat. Like that. Now we're going to go back up through the other side. And through the lower hole on this metal piece here. See? Hold up tight. Now I'm going to take white and black and tie them together. And then I'm going to take the other black and white and tie them together. And I'm going to cut these off kind of short. That's kind of neat. So I'll put glue in the middle and I'll put a flower, makes it pretty anyway, and it will keep those from coming untied. I'm putting it down a little so the beads are not right over the knot. And I had to put some beads on some of these petaloo flowers. They didn't come with centers, so I dug out dark colored beads from there, and I just glued a few on in the center of some of them. So see, this will go just like that. So page 3 is done. Okay, page 4 is the lace pocket with the wallet, and I think I'm going to do something like this for my decoration on the pocket. So the first thing I want to do is I want a non-stick surface. So this is a Tim Holtz craft mat. And I have a length of seam binding that goes across the top of the lace. That is just going to be a stabilizer, so it won't be stretchy. And I'm going to put glue on it. And put that right at the top of the lace. I'm going to put it on again on the other side. Like that. And I chose white steam binding instead of cream because that will match the lace better than the cream will. And I'm going to put this lace over the top of that, like that. And I've got this leftover piece from when we cut around the frames. I want to put that about here. Because I'm going to glue right through the lace and stick these on right on top of that. And to keep it from catching every time we put the wallet in and out, you know, it'll catch on this if we don't have this edge glued right down. So I'm going to put glue, keep this about 2 inches away from that edge. I'm going to put the glue up high on this. And the lace is so thin it will just soak right through. So that's how we'll start. And we'll put this flower here. And we'll stick a flower here. Maybe a leaf board piece on there as well. Do that. So I'll put more glue on right over the red area. And we'll squish this right down. Right down like that. And if you ever have part and you don't want it to show, you can always trim it off like this. There was just a small piece of red showing through, so I'm just cutting it. And then, of course, you can add some more. Okay, this is pretty dry, but I'm going to put it up here for a minute, let it dry some more before we do anything with that, and you can mess around with the wallet. So here's the paper I used for this, and mostly inside of this I used the 8x8s. Like this, like this. That's the 8x8 piece. Eight by 8 on that and that, and both sides of this. And some scrap pieces of the 12x12, scrap pieces of the 12x12. I didn't glue this top on for some reason. Yeah, see, on the other side of this is red dots, and so on the last page I put it on wrong. I'm going to put this from the 8x8 collection on here in the corner. And then this can slide behind it. And she was on one of the scrap pieces of paper, so I liked her, so I cut her out. I think I'm just gonna stick her on. I think I got everything inside. I left the back off because this is where I'm going to put the ties. Now, to get up over the pocket, I'm going to have it tie high up because it'll go in the pocket like this, and I want the ties to be above the pocket. I've got about 30 inches of seam binding in the black and cream, and I've just tied the ends into knots. I'm going to put, this is the back, right over the top. There's a glue to catch that ribbon, that seam binding. I love that. I love the two together. Now, if you want, you can decorate it up a little. This has yellow on it. I'm going to change that so I can and be consistent. Just the patterned paper. We're going to put this on. We're going to put it on so there's a 1/2 inch coming off the bottom. Pull that 1/2 inch up with some tape because the tape grabs quickly. So just fold this up and have it catch on the tape. And I'm actually going to put this in here. This way will give enough room for it to fit in the pocket. You just don't want this paper to curl forward when you're putting it on. You want to try to keep it natural, flat. On this side you'll pull a little bit. So let's see what it looks like. Looks good. As long as that holds, which it will in the end. So now you can take this out and glue this on to the 9 by 7 inch piece. Voila! Lace pocket. So page 4 is now done. Page 5, covered it with this paper, the 9 by 7 inch piece. This is the piece we're going to make into a pocket with the 1/8 inch stacked strips on it. And here is the tag that goes into that pocket. I put this metal piece on the same way I put on the first one, except that I stuck the seam binding through the hole of this Enchanted chipboard so that it get caught in and tied it up the same way. And I'm going to put the glue on, and we can say inside. We're going to just put glue along the 1/8 inch pieces. Just put it on top, centered. Now I'm also going to put, this is a 1 inch by 3.5 inch piece of scrap paper. I'm going to put it at this corner like this. So I want to just mark right here on the edge of this photo mat. And here, so that I know where to put glue. And I'll stick my piece of paper on. Just like that. Let's get the picture down behind the embellishments that I'm going to put on there. And I will just trim this off like that. off so it doesn't get onto the photo mat. That looks nice. Then we can slide this down through the top and just tip it up, and then the metal will go over the top and it fits in there good. And page 5 is done. Page 6 covered the 9 by 7 inch piece like this, and the two 4.5 by 4 inch pieces like this. Put some lace up the top, and I will put this lace up at the top here as well, the same way we did the other lace. We'll put this on the same way we did the other 4 by 4.5 by 4.5 inch pieces. This is an ephemera piece. And we have a space here to decorate. Use up our chipboard. And we'll go with that. Now we're on the inside back cover. And I left this piece off because we're going to put the ribbon on there. Let's do that now. So we got, once again, we have length of 30-inch, 2 colors of ribbon. Cut in half. Glue to hopefully right around the middle there. And we can put this piece on. And we'll use these as a guide, kind of. I'm going to put glue right on this ribbon, or seam binding, and I'm going to put it on the bottom side where the white one is, and I'm going to do the white one on the other side. Like that. Push them down. Might stick to my paper a little here. So I'm going to put a piece of wax paper under there. But we're going to leave it alone for a minute while we mess around with the other things. And so I put this piece on here, and I just stuck this flower so that it would partially covered there. I took these 2 pieces of ephemera and stuck them on here like this. I have covered these with, this is the 12 by 12 papers on in here, 12 by 12. So take the first 2. I'm going to fold along the score line at the top, and I'm going to put it right over and have it fold over the top of this one. And we'll put glue here, not on the score line, above it. about a 1/2 inch down on the top of the paper, which is 3 diamonds in this case. I'm going to put glue along this 3 diamonds down, centered. And then I'm going to put on the next piece, right up under there like that. Matching it, a little bit under it. And check down the sides to make sure it's going on there straight. And the next one, next, and the last. Very nice. There, the waterfall. And we covered the sides like this. I stuck this ephemera piece and this ephemera piece like that. And we have these covered like this. And I left this off because I was going to take a scrap piece that is 1 inch by 2 1/4. Well, 2 inches doesn't matter. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to put glue on one side. I'm going to put it in the center at the top. So the other side is catching. Let's put this paper on. And this paper on the front. And I'm going to put some glue up in there so that it will catch when I hold it down and run my thumb along it, so it just stays there. And I'm going to put some seam binding in this. So I'm going to want to cut, I'll keep the seam binding at the top up there. So I'm going to want to cut off something like this. That's cute. So here we go. We have fold up like this. And I want to put some more embellishments right here. So I'll mark again. Okay, camera malfunction, so it cut out on me, but basically all I did was glue these things on in that spot like we did on the other page. So now the inside back cover is finished, and we'll go on to put the pages into the album. So let's glue on the first page. Page 1 we'll do first. I'm going to put glue all along here and then lay the page over the top. Right, stay sort of in the middle of the hinge with the glue. But keep your page about 1/8 of an inch away from the bottom of the hinge where it attaches to the spine, there's an 1/8 of an inch difference. And I have to hold it a little bit because it's glue. And apply page 3. Same, you need to make sure it's an 1/8 of an inch above the base of the hinge. And then page 5. And now we'll go back and do page 2. We'll glue it onto the back of page 1. Line them up. You just do the same thing in reverse, only this time you'll have to cover all this with glue. Get them to stick. So, we can move on to page 4. Take out the wallet and glue it on to page 2. And next, page 6, on the back of page 5, and the inside back cover. And I'm going to use some handy clamps right here because of the lace. And I'll just leave them on while I do the inside front cover. More clamps. So, pretty cool, huh? We're almost done. Voila, now we can decorate the cover. For the window decoration on the front cover, I'm going to paint it gold first. Just gonna paint it, nothing special. Okay, now it's painted on one side. I'm just going to apply crackle medium all over the front. Okay, the crackle medium is dry and I can already see the cracking. And I want to put on some buttermilk color. It's off-white. You don't have to use the exact colors. Some of these of mine are so old I don't even know if they make them anymore. I like it. And I wanted to bring back the shine, so I painted it with some triple thick Brilliant Brush Gloss Glaze on there. And I want to give it some sparkle, so I have some gold glass glitter. So while the glaze is still wet, I'll just do a little. Now for this piece that I made up for the focal point of the cover, I used ephemera pieces. This piece has Once Upon a Time written inside and I think some journaling lines. You want to cut out the center. I used an X-Acto knife and scissors, these small Cutter bee scissors that get into small spaces very easily, and I fussy cut all around the edge of the frame and left the fairy. So that's, you need to do that. And then I used this ephemera piece. I liked this lady. And I just cut her out of the next one. And this is the frame on page 2, I believe. So there again, you want to take your X-Acto knife and cut around the edge to take out this middle piece, and then you can use your fussy cutting scissors to cut out the lady. And now you're going to want some pieces of chipboard, scrap pieces, because that's what we'll use to pop up the images. We just want to put bits of chipboard on the back of her. And the only trick is to make it stay inside the line. Okay, there it is, what it looks like on the back. That's all I did. Piece the chipboard in there so it will lift her up from the background like that. And now, but for this frame, you'll need 4 pieces that are cut 5 5/8 by 1/2 inch. There's 2 more for that side. And then you'll need 4 pieces cut at 2 3/4 for this part down here. And here, but here I say 2 3/4 and less than 1/2 inch, because it gets a little narrow there. So all I did was cut off a smidge off one side. It's like a 1/16 of an inch, like that. But you'll need to piece in, which this 1/16 of an inch might come in handy, only 1 layer here. But before you do that, I want you to take all these pieces that go around the edge of the frame and do the long edges black. Okay, got all the edges black. On the shorter ones you don't have to do the ends, but on the longer ones you do. All edges are black because you won't see the shorter ones' ends because they'll be covered like this. Okay, you can glue these on, and after you get all 8 pieces on, stacked up 2 layers deep, you can do 1 layer right around this area of this fairy. It's so lovely, lovely. Let's try it out. Works perfectly. Now, there's one thing I want you to see. How you can, okay, if I line this edge to edge up perfectly, you see the other frame shows down through here. So I'm going to actually push this down like this so that I can't see it. And I'm going to cut off this 1/8 of an inch, which is the top of that black line actually. Just like that. And we can glue our lady on. And we'll glue this on. And we get nice 3D kind of look. Okay, messing around with what to do with the cover. So I think we like this basic idea. And I'll take stuff off so I can put it back on. Put this here, up here in this corner. And I have the hot glue going. We'll put this one on here. This is an old earring, beaded earring. I took the back off. Hot glue will hold it because of all that wire in there. will use some glossy accents type glue for this little bird's nest. I think we did a great job. Album is finished. Look at that. I'll just clip through and we'll do a whole walkthrough video later. Well, I hope you had a good time making this album with me. And I thank everybody for joining me, and happy crafting!